Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine. And today we are welcome with pro wrestling commentator Josh Gjonaj. How we doing, man?
I'm doing good, Justin, and it's a pleasure to be here on this episode. Thank you for having me.
Behind the scenes, it's months in the making, and I'm glad we can make it happen.
Yes, yes,
It's about time.
yeah, right.
uh, Before we dive into your career, your fandom, just the crazy sport of pro wrestling, would you like to shout out your social medias and where they can catch you on commentary and around the world of professional wrestling?
Yeah, so definitely follow me on all my social media platforms, whether it's Twitter/X, it's Josh Gjonaj, same thing with Facebook and Instagram. Just follow me on all those social medias and maybe TikTok if I ever decide to do some behind the scenes like vlog type of deal. Like maybe, who knows, if I'm motivated.
And where do you predominantly work at?
So basically, I work at Neo Pro Wrestling. Shout out to Neo Pro Wrestling,
Okay.
Championship International Wrestling (CIW). I'm at Extreme Fight World for EFW, and just to name a few, sometimes I will be working at We Love Wrestling. That was my very first time I did it. I hope to be back, thanks to being beside CJ Owen, aka Peapod. Love me some Peapod.
He's an excellent man. I just had a conversation with him yesterday as we record this. I'm excited to get both of you guys on here and just talk wrestling, man, because it's so fun.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess first things first. When did you find or get exposed to the world of wrestling?
So I've always been like around wrestling, thanks to two of my older brothers. They've been wrestling fans throughout their whole life, and being the youngest of of three, let me just show that three. It's always been the best thing about that, and for some reason, just playing with the figures, and I didn't know it was specifically for wrestling. Like I remember just playing that as like they were like super villains or superheroes, and then like for some reason another like core memory that stuck with me was when The Rock hosted Saturday Night Live in 2000,
Mhm.
and like seeing Triple H, Big Show, Mick Foley in the crowd, and then fast forward it like to 2002, my very like moment that got me hooked in it was January 7th when Triple H returned from his quad injury,
Okay.
and it was Madison Square Garden, and
Yep.
that's what really stuck with me. And like I knew right there and there, hearing Jim Ross on commentary, that that's what I wanted to be, was a commentator.
Okay. So like commentary's been the aspiration, not the in-ring performance?
Yeah, no, it's always been commentary. Like it was shocking. Like there's nothing wrong with anybody who watches wrestling and wanted to do what they do in the middle of that ring. Me, I never wanted to do that. I always wanted to be the guy behind the desk wearing a headset or holding a microphone.
So, like, growing up, who were your big, like, favorite in-ring performers, and who was your favorite people to listen to behind the commentary booth?
So favorite people, like since I've gotten to it like very late because being 2002, Kurt Angle would stick around with me. Triple H was absolutely another one, even though like some people might not like Triple H. RVD was another one. Um, who else? John Cena, because Cena like started his career there, and then to do one more to say five, I gotta go with honestly Rey Mysterio.
Okay. What about behind
And
the desk?
behind the desk, obviously Jim Ross, because how can you not like Jim Ross? Michael Cole was another good person that like got me hooked in it. And fun fact about like talking about like the TNA side, Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay actually inspired me to be the guy wearing a bow tie. Actually,
Okay, that's amazing.
yeah,
With Tenay, I feel like he might be one of the most underrated commentators of all time. Just he
yeah,
doesn't get talked about nearly as enough as he probably should when you think about his work in WCW and then all the years in TNA and like just how much he helped behind the scenes and helped other
mhm.
people. Like, it's just really crazy how he doesn't get brought up enough.
Oh yeah, no, like Tanae was like legit like somebody like it was thanks to my dad like just channel surfing, and then like we just stumble upon the TNA when they were on Fox and watching Elix Skipper doing that Hurricanrana off the cage. Like I remember like watching that with my dad, and I was like, we gotta watch this again. Like we don't know like what time it will be on, but we need to watch this again. And Tanae like hooked me on to it like a little more, and then like it's like I mentioned, like him wearing a bow tie, and then also Mean Gene Okerlund is another person who got me inspired to wear like bow ties even more.
So when you were we're jumping ahead a little bit, but when you
Yep.
were choosing to figure out the choice of attire per se, is that something that went like heavily into it to look different? The bow tie in correlation with maybe the likes of Mean Gene and Mike Tenay. And I mean, I know like Vince wore one for a long time when he was on commentary, things like that.
It absolutely did, because like if you watch like a lot of like pro wrestling is one of them, boxing, UFC, MMA, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name the sports, like a lot of times you don't really see too many people wearing a bow tie, and like that's why like bow ties became like one of my big things. Even though I'm not wearing one right now at the moment, I'm sorry people, don't get mad at me. I just want to be casual Josh for today, but like wearing a bow tie always like helped me gain a lot of like confidence wearing it, and then just changing it up, because the rule of thumb for me is I can't wear the same bow tie, because I feel like a lot of fans will know if I wore it, and I don't want to get called out on it.
How many do you have?
The last time I counted them, I was at 80. Now I think I'm at like 110.
Okay. So
Yeah.
have you ever wore them more than once?
I try not to. The only time I will do some if it's like a video I want to post on social media is to be like the breaking news aspect, because like I feel like it's because I'm more into the camera, where as commentary there's not too much of a camera on me. But if I get like another like if I do interviews, then sure, like I try not to wear that same bow tie and dress shirt combination.
Okay. Something like that's always fascinated me, especially with wrestling fans, is usually throughout like our teenage years going into adulthood, a lot of guys and girls will go away from wrestling and they'll get focused on maybe high school and sports and what have you. Was that you? Did you ever take a break from it, or was you synced into pro wrestling the whole way through?
I was really synced into it. I kept it quiet. I don't know why. I wish I kind of embraced it a little more. I was very quiet about it because I tried to fit in with people, like talking about like sports, like the NFL. Like, I'll be honest, like I don't know much about like you know sports, but I will watch it like if it's in person. But I won't watch it on TV. But I try to fit in with a lot of people, and like as high school rolled on, I remember wearing like the shirts a little more. I remember reading the books, and like a lot of people are just like looking over and they see what I'm reading and they go, "Oh, I was a big fan at one point," and then I go, "Should get into it again." And seeing so many teachers that I became friends with, or they like motivated me, they comment on my like Facebook posts and they go, "I can't believe I once have like taught this person, and now later like he's doing something he always said he was going to do."
So like something like that interests me about that is like, for instance, when I was a kid, or especially specifically in high school, I guess like it was when Bullet Club was hot, when all the
Mhm.
the t-shirts were in, Hot Topic and things like that. And I remember there was a point in, I believe it was my senior year. It might have been my junior year. I can't remember, but every day I'd have a different Bullet Club t-shirt, like
Yeah,
literally one for each day of the week. And it got to the point where the wrestling fans would notice.
yeah.
And like we wouldn't talk about it all the time, like, but I guess kinda like you said, like, it was something I kinda hid, but, like, I represented it in a way.
Yeah.
So, like, it was just different, like, and I wish, like, sometimes I wish I would've just been more open about it because
Mhm.
you have so like, it's one of those things that no matter what's going on in the world, everybody could come back and relate to wrestling in some way and get away from the craziness that is the outside world, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's always the best thing now, like, when you wear a wrestling tee, like, out in public, because no matter what store you're at, somebody's gonna know something, or if you are out and about, someone's gonna stop you, and just they're gonna talk about it with you because they, like, they experience, like, "Oh, wow, I was a fan of that at one point," and you could just sit back, and no matter how long the conversation it's going to be, I'm willing to talk about wrestling no matter what.
You like, it's cool now, like you said, wearing a wrestling shirt and you go outside and you have a conversation, because I'm sure you might have this too, but, like, as a podcaster now, to extend that conversation from what's going on to TV to also at the end or somewhere in that conversation be like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, I have this podcast where I talk to these guys and I talk to
Mhm.
these girls and these people around it." It, like, elevates the interest of the conversation so much
Yeah.
more. Is that something you can relate to?
Absolutely, like, I remember I was with, like, my friend, and, we went to get food, and, like, I was wearing a Macho Man Randy Savage shirt, and the guy, like, as I, like, got out of my car, he looked at my shirt, and he was just talking about, like, Randy Savage with me, and, like, I was just, like, happy to hear that, and then, like, I shamelessly plugged them and tell them, like, "Hey, they do, pro wrestling photos," like, that's another thing, like, nice thing about that, and, like, I do commentary or slash interviews, like, it's always a nice thing to spark that up, and, like, I remember, like, the first time I went to my barber, he and I talked about wrestling for a good 2 hours.
I love it. So, like, growing up, you go through high school, coming, like, out of high school, was the plan to immediately try wrestling, or did you go to college and try other things? Like, what did that look like for you?
So, I the goal was to be a commentator, and this is, like, not a knock to anyone who's in college because, PSA, if you wanna listen to this, stay in school. If you wanna do something, stay in school. Me, I did school, and then I dropped out, and I didn't know how I was going to get where I want to be. I sat there and, like, I just remember working 4 jobs at one time, just trying to decide how I was going to get back into, like, traveling, like, not traveling, but just to go to these shows. Because I remember not going to so much shows, but I remember there was one locally by my house, and let's just say that that's how it started.
Okay. So, when did you find indie wrestling then?
I found indie wrestling pretty early, like, I wanna say between 2013
Okay.
because, like, it was Kevin, I think it's 2013 and 14, somewhere between those years, but it was Kevin, Steen/Owens leaving Ring of Honor to go to WWE, and, like, I remember just getting excited just to go to that show because thanks to Matt Hardy for posting on his YouTube channel about Kevin Steen, I became a fan of Kevin Steen a lot, and I watched a lot of his stuff, and I was like, "Ring of Honor. I know what Ring of Honor is, and I want to check it out." And I remember begging my brother to take me, and we went. And when I shared a small conversation with Kevin Steen Owens, he said to me, like, "You should support your, like, local independent shows." And I did go to them because there was a big independent promotion called XICW, and a lot of people have, like, worked there, like, guys like Rhino, Matt Hardy, Jimmy Jacobs, and it's owned by the DBA, aka Malcolm Monroe the second, and then guys like MM3 is going to be there, Tommy Vendetta, Jack Price, who's currently in TNA. just to name a few people. And I've always just been hooked to it because, as well, I used to just not go there as like a student, but the House of Truth at the time when it was a school here in Michigan, I used to go there a lot and like watch students bust their tail. And it made me believe that I could be a part of this one day.
What would you say got your foot in the door?
So back to that like story I was talking about, like starting like a whole like career. It was a wrestling show called Horror Slam, and they had a wrestling show at a bar, and I didn't know anybody. The only people I knew was uh, El Ridiculoso and MM3. And like I remember getting dropped off by my mom, and she told me, she was like, "You're going alone," and I was like, "Yeah." And like I was working at a like one of my few jobs. I was working at a pizza joint, and I asked one of my coworkers, could they pick me up after the show, and they did. But like I remember my mom was just trying to talk me out of it, saying like, "This isn't a good idea. You're going alone. You don't know anybody. You should have brought your brother." And even though my brother was working at the time, one of my the middle child, um, I get dropped off, and then I headed to the doors, and then I don't know. I felt nervous at first, and then all of a sudden you hear the MC slash the ring announcer saying, going down the whole card, and then Ricky Morton was actually there, and I got to meet Ricky Morton, took a picture with him, and then the MC is continuing talking about the matches, and then he said, "In the main event, it's a fans bring your own weapons. Anything could be a weapon." And then the person I just hear, because we're fans, was right by his table, and he picked up his table. His table was wobbly, and he's like, I mean, my question before I continue, can I curse?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. So he goes, they can use my fucking table. And me, just being the outsider, I just laughed in my brain, and I go, I can help him, like out loud. And then he was like, yeah, I got a friend who's going to help me load this table in the fans bring your weapons day. And next thing you know, he and we just started talking about, hey, you ever thought about being a wrestler? And I go, not really, but I always wanted to be an announcer. And then like everything just started like adding fire to the fuel in his brain, like, oh, this person doesn't want to be a wrestler. He wants to be an announcer. One thing led to another. He was a camera guy for a wrestling news channel I used to do called Heel Fan News. And he invited me to the studio, and then like one thing led to another. After being a part of that, my wrestling career was like just starting off, like right there.
You know, something like I find interesting is like once you get the ball rolling and that first interaction's made, it's crazy how like the littlest things set the like fuel that fire so much.
Mhm.
Because it like with this, for instance, like as of recording, if you want me to be honest, it's 1 year to the day I dropped my first episode, and like I just started messaging people out of
Mhm.
just because like, how else am I going to get them? And all of a sudden, I'm doing it. It from one a week to maybe two a week, and then some weeks I'm recording 8 episodes, and like it just snowballs so fast. And
Yeah.
then like next thing you know, you're 170 or 59 episodes in, and it's wild. So like, is that how it worked for you as far as like the commentary going? Like it's something that it started, and the next thing you know, you're here, 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 here.
It took a minute. It took a minute,
Okay.
really, like because like being a commentator is not the easiest at times because, of course, as a guy who overthinks and mental health and stuff like that, I just sit there and I go, I don't think I'm going to make this. And like the doubts just came in my brain, but like it took me a minute just to get used to doing interviews, getting used to talking to people, getting used to like, hey, this is so and so, like standing here and coming up with questions on the spot. I had to think on my feet a lot of times during these interviews. And then, like, being comfortable, and
Oh shit.
like how to be like, I could be comfortable like being like this. If someone's scary, I could be scared. If someone's going to be serious, I could be serious. If someone is going to be whatever, I knew what to do right away. And a lot of times when I was doing the heel fan news, we would do a thing called the heel fan matchup, and that would be like we would commentate like our like matches like that's been recorded and put our own commentary on them.
Okay.
And like I think that's when a lot of times people started to realize like this kid really wants to do something. And like we we ended during COVID, and it was just it sucked for me because I missed that show a lot of times. But I realized like we needed the people who were a part of that team needed to expand. And for me, of course, the world shut down. How could you expand if the world shut down? And one of my favorite things about that, I got to meet one of my favorites before COVID was Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston talked to me, and I just got out of a relationship, and Eddie Kingston said to me, like, I was like, Eddie, it's an honor to meet you because one, we said hello at Evolve, and you were on your phone. I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted you to know, like, I saw you. You said, "What up, man?" And then we went on our ways. Eddie Kingston said to me, like one of my favorite advice he gave me was like, no matter what happens in life, this business could do a lot. It'll make you overthink. It'll make you lose some loved ones. It'll make you just regret some things. But at times, just know you keep waking up and keep going. Yes, relationships will come and go. Of course, you're going to be heartbroken. But just know that you're going to be a part of a locker room, that you're going to deal with like a lot of guys, girls who are going to treat you like family. And like, it made me teary eyed. And and hearing that was like, yeah, that's legit the truth. And when after we got our photo together, he said to me, like, I hope one day we will cross paths and you get to commentate a match of mine. And I was like, oh man, that if that doesn't make me want to keep going, I don't know what does. And I was like, I gotta keep going. I have to.
You know, you brought up like sometimes like it can be hard to keep going. Have you ever had them moments where it's like, I don't know if I want to do this, like I don't know if I want to continue? And if so, what motivated you to push through it?
2021 was one of the hardest like years for me. And it's like a lot of people would sound like, let's say like a lot of times are hard. Like I still suffer through it, but 2021 was the hardest because I had to sit back and recharge everything because at the time when COVID was happening, I got into a new relationship. And like I was trying to do some shows. I did some shows that were called XICW House Party, which were good times. But I remember when the girl who I was dating at the time, she told me that we were through and you'll never be anything in wrestling. So I sat there and I believed her. I believed every minute of it, and I thought, oh crap, I should probably not do this wrestling stuff that much. And I remember just leaving my home state of Michigan for 6 months. I went to Florida for 3 just to recharge myself. But I was keeping up to date with wrestling. I was keeping up what every promotion was doing. And then I went to Seattle for another 3 months. And then it just dawned on me like, if I can make these plane rides, I sure as hell could do this. And I flown back to Michigan. I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I remember telling the person who got me in wrestling. Shout out to Chris, because that's the camera guy who I met at Horror Slam. And I got back from Michigan, and I was like telling my mom as she's like picking me up from the airport, I was like, stop at this house real fast. Here's the address. And I got to his house. I knocked on his front door, and he opens it, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm back, and I want to be back in wrestling, and I need to keep going, and I need to know whatever is going on in my brain that, yes, I'm still thinking about them, but I want to get back with that grind, holding a microphone, trying to get back and wearing a headset again." And it was like a tough thing, because I remember going to Ohio for the first time with Jackson Stone, aka Shogun. He helped me get to Mega Championship Wrestling, and I the conversation I had with Brandon Xavier was at a bar, and Brandon said to me, I've noticed I've been going to a lot of bars, but but Brandon said to me, like, what do you want to do here, Mega? And I said, well, you have a commentary team, and I don't want to interfere with that. If you need a backstage guy, I'm your guy. I'll be happy to do these backstage interviews and help your students or people be comfortable in front of a camera. And like, it was really awesome just to get that green light that, hey, you're doing commentary. And I've worked with Mega for a couple years. I think it was 2 years, in 2021 to 2023. It started to make me feel comfortable. At the time, I had a long hair. I chopped the long hair. No, people, I am not bringing the long hair back. I'm sorry to burst your bubbles, people, but the long hair was personal reason why I grew it, but it was also a thing I wanted to do just to make myself comfortable. Now, like, I know about suits. I know about like what to wear, like which suit. Now I have 7 suits. Fast forward to that, but like, I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing, and I'm hoping one day, like, I could be like what CJ Owen did, the Tournament of Death. What Joe Dombrowski is doing, working at Juggalo Championship Wrestling / MLW. I want to explore a little more. I want to get out further, and I want people to know, like, hey, that is that guy with the bow tie. And no matter how many times, like, I think I'm not the greatest, I really appreciate everybody who enjoys what I do. And it's so real at times to meet friends and that I could call like family, because without them, I don't know if I would still be doing this, but I still believed in myself a little more. And just hearing that conversation I had with Eddie Kingston.
So, like, going to the Eddie Kingston conversation was like, was it a difficult conversation to have, to set in like realization, or was it something that like you needed to hear?
It was both,
Okay.
because like, um, I think I needed that, like, hey, like, even before that conversation, like, I've been told, like, it's going to be a grind, and trust me, it's not going to be a pretty grind, because you one day want to get to a bigger level. And I have to remind myself that no matter how much money I make and how much like time it's going to take, there's going to be a lot of mileages I'm going to put on that car, or be with like people that I'm going to eat at a Sheetz or a Applebee's or wherever. The long car rides, the long, you know, sleepless nights. It's a good thing to have that conversation.
I think like just the talking about the sleepless nights, the eating at gas station food, the travel, things like that, which fortunately as a podcaster, I've also been able to do that. Like, and I think that's something that's, I guess, made it easier for me to stand out than others, because sometimes people just stay in their spot. There's enough indies around, they can figure it out. But like, I feel like just doing the travel and putting in the miles and trying to relate to you guys more, in a way has made the journey so much more fun. Because,
Mhm.
like, am I missing am I not able to sleep in the bed tonight with my fiance? Am I missing, um, events with family because I went to this show so I could do coverage and things like that? Yes, but are they worth it when, I'm having conversations with yourself and with the likes of Rhino and the Hardys and things like that? Like, yes, it makes it that much better, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. Because like, first thing, congratulations with you and your fiance. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, it's legit like it's a tough thing because I remember I miss some weddings, I miss some graduation parties, I miss birthdays, and like sometimes a lot of people won't get it, but the people that truly believe in you will get it. And I remember just I remember going to one of my brothers who did take me to these shows. I had to go to his wedding, and I was in Cleveland, Ohio for 2 days, and I had to drive about 2 hours and 30 minutes, like back home, just to get ready to like for his wedding, and I did, and it was something that I would not forget. Like it was meeting guys like EC3, um, Tom Latimer, Jeremiah Puckett, Aaron Stevens, and that's when like Exodus became a affiliated with the NWA, and it was one of like my favorite moments that I got to sit there behind those guys and commentating and like hearing those people enjoy what I was doing and hearing Billy Corgan liking what I was doing, and it just made me sparked up that hey, we got to keep doing this because you never know who's going to be watching.
Definitely. You know, just bringing up Exodus, it reminds me, the first Exodus I went to, you did like an in-person interaction with Carson Drake. I believe it was like he was having a dinner or something. I can't
Oh,
remember the exact thing. You know what I'm talking about though.
yes, yes.
And I went with my dad and my siblings. Um, just kind of seeing about I was thinking about doing a sponsorship with him at the time, so we traveled to Cleveland to see if it was something we liked the atmosphere, things like that.
Yeah.
And my little brother looks at me and he's like, "Why are they doing this interview here in front of us now? Because usually when we go to indies, they're pre-recorded,
Yeah.
and like they show them on the screen, or I mean, they show them on social media. You don't even see them."
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I was like, "Because it's TV, buddy. Like this is, it's not, it's not just an indie. It's a TV product. This is
Yeah.
live streamed on NWA and on other platforms. Like it's it's like watching Raw."
Yeah.
And he was so like confused, but like enamored by the process, I guess,
Mhm.
because it's like, okay, we get to see this live and in color. The mistakes can be made. It just makes it so much more interesting. And it was that segment with you and Carson that I guess made that gear turn in his head. Like indie wrestling can be like TV. And
Mhm.
so I just want to thank you because that'll always be a core memory for me to be able to break down how this business kind of works. Obviously, I
Mhm.
don't know 100% how it works because I'm on
Right.
this side of the camera,
Yeah.
but like it was just a cool moment and something honestly I've been able to reference so many times on the show. And thank you for that.
Oh, well, dang, like, I'm sorry. Wow, that really got me like teary eyed. Like, not gonna lie, like, yeah, you're very welcome. Like that legit. Wow, that this is like breaking news right now. This is legit giving me another reason why I do what I do, and like, you're very welcome. I'm happy that I get to be that breaking down for you just to explain to your brother about that because just like I've never like this is folks. If anybody's watching this is like the first time I'm hearing this, and like legit, this made me smile and teary eye because hearing something like that is so real for me. Like I'm getting goosebumps as I'm hearing that because it's just I never would know someone would do that, and like thank you, honestly, for
Of
sharing
course.
that with me because like wow, like if I didn't have another motivation to keep going, this is another one right now.
I appreciate being able to give you that ammunition because sometimes this can be hard, man. And like
Mhm.
those moments, I feel like not only just as people, but in this realm of wrestling, those are the most important moments. Is those moments that like you're able to connect with somebody, like me and you connecting now, or me and my brother connecting over the segment. And like I said, like just being able to connect with other people like CJ Owens, and then I've talked to other guys at Exodus about. I use it like as an example just to explain the difference in how Exodus is run versus a normal indie. So like those things are just so cool to be able to connect in that way because it makes wrestling so much different than
Yep.
a football or a basketball or any other sport around. To be honest,
Mhm. I like it's always like you never know like who's going to be watching for fans wise, and like being that perspective for something because I remember just sitting there and like wondering how can I wear a headset for this independent promotion? What would I say? What would I wear? And it's just it's always nice to know like people are listening, people are actually sitting there watching the show for a reason.
definitely. Something I always like when EC3 is brought up, something I always like to dive into is his genius because it's almost unparalleled to others in wrestling. Like the way his mind works is just interesting to me. Being able to work alongside him or even be in the same room with him, um, what was some of the experience he was able to share and maybe some of the advice, if any, that he was able to give you to maybe help you and guide you?
I think like the one thing I could really thank like EC3 for was giving me the chance.
Okay.
And just it was not only because there was other people from the NWA watching like the preface, and it was also like me like giving a fair shot. I didn't know what I was going to do when I was with Exodus, and I that team I thank them for everything. And it could be it could make you and break you. And the one thing that EC3 did help me with was having a good relationship with Aaron Stevens. Aaron Stevens was one guy who helped me with the nickname that guy with the bow tie because he and we were going to I think we were going to a Home Depot because we needed to do something for the Samhain pay per view, and like Aaron was just in the back seat, not back seat, the front seat, and he's just giving me directions where to go. And I asked him, and I said, Mr. Stevens, if you don't mind me like picking your brain, what do we think about this? Like, I want to get rid of I'm the voice of whatever company I'm working for at the time. And he was like, his ears perked up, and he was like, so let me ask you why. And I said, well, I feel like a lot of commentators would use that nowadays. If it's TV or if it's an independent promotion, I don't know. I try not to like compare and contrast, but like I was like, I just feel like that's a cliche thing to say. Like if I was still with Exodus, I'm the voice of Exodus Pro Wrestling. Just throwing it out there. He was like, so what do you want to go as? And I said, what do we think of that guy with the bow tie, Josh Gjonaj? And he looked at me, smiled, and he goes, keep it. That's a really good title for you. stick with it. And I go, will do. And it was just, I remember every single time I got to see him when I was at Exodus Pro Wrestling. And like, I think for him, for like believing in me a little more, because he was one person who actually did believe what I could do. And whether if it's like a segment or whether if it's an interview, like, the one thing I tried not to remember was getting wasted at the Beal Fest, the first ever Beal Fest. I got wasted and my Chuck E. Cheese card got stolen, and I got trash dumped on me thanks to the slime balls. But that's wrestling for me, and whether I could do something serious, comedy, like Aaron actually helped me with those things, and like EC3, I could thank him for giving me a fair chance to be behind the desk.
Okay. I want to go to that guy with the bow tie. Um, I like it just because if you're looking at something that makes you different, it is the bow tie, and then
Yeah,
the nickname, like it points fans to it. It's like,
yeah,
okay, this is what makes this guy different. Pay attention to him, and like I feel like the voice of is overdone.
hmm,
And like I think honestly that's something I've struggled with is trying to figure out because even podcasters have a name like or a gimmick. Like Chris Van Fleet is just the grateful aspect of it. And then Sam Roberts is the last professional broadcaster, and you got Conrad Thompson who's the podfather.
hmm.
It's like trying to figure out like that shtick, and I haven't figured it out yet, which I'm still young into this career, but like figuring that out, it's kind of like it's an achievement or a notch on the belt because it's like, okay, now I know who I am.
Hmm.
Now let's see where I can take myself.
Yeah, like it. um, the first time like I said it like on the air was at a Mega Championship Wrestling's pre-show, and we had to like me and my broadcast partner at the time. I think I did it solo, but like I said it out loud, and a lot of people who I was going to interview did the interview. They said they're like what they're going to do, and they move on. And after we were done, because it was Facebook Live, because anything can happen on live, and after we were done recording, some like a one of the stars there, Bryson Teller, he came up to me and he was like, "I think that works perfectly for you." And I go, "Yeah," and he goes, "Yeah, I think that's the coolest like moniker to have, and your last name rhymes with bow tie.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you not go with that?" And I
it's
was,
it's perfect.
"Yeah," and I was like, "You're right." And I remember after doing this show for Mega, my friend Chris texted me and he goes, "Call me when you get home." And I go, "Well, it's going to be late. And I know that it's going to be a late night conversation." And um, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, Chris, but Chris, you hated my last name. And like, ever since I came up with that guy with the bow tie, he hates the fact that it works so perfectly. And I got a victory over him because of that.
Something about wrestling that I also think is interesting is when you meet somebody who's been in this business a long time, a veteran, um, sometimes they give you a test to see if you're worthy of something. Have you ever had that situation?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Plenty. Like I would say like Ricky Shane Page gave me an opportunity to work at RCW Ruthless Wrestling, and he gave me a shot because a lot of times some of the guys were kept telling me, "Hey, talk to Ricky," and I did. I got to be not the guy who gets to wear just a full blown suit, but a guy who could just wear a dress shirt and a bow tie and put jeans on and show off his sneakers because your boy likes to collect sneakers outside of bow ties. And it helped out a lot just to don't be afraid to talk to people that like are like right there. Ricky Shane Page is one of them. EC3 was another person that I was kind of nervous to talk to, but a lot of people just kept telling me like he's just a human being. Talk to him. And Aaron was another person, and Aaron really did give me some pointers. He really enjoyed the fact that before like we would start to do like the Exodus programming, he would stop, look at my dress shirt, and then looked at the bow tie, and he goes, "Great combination. See, you change it up." And I go, "Yeah, I try not to wear the same bow tie." And he goes, "Brilliant." And then walks away. And I go, this is what I like to do, is just be that eye-catching person. And hearing like sometimes, whether if it's like a broadcast partner or if it's like a colleague, they always have some interested to see what bow tie I'm going to pull out. Like now, like working at Neo Pro Wrestling since February of this year, Jason and Danny, they're trying their best to do something like to feel like a real like TV wrestling show, and I love it. And we have like an amazing staff behind the scenes, like Danny, Jason, Braylon, and Jason said on a group text, I can't remember what was implied or something, but I've said to him, or I think I privately messaged Jason, and I said, "Hey, this is what I found for a bow tie for this show." And he goes, "That's a really good like comparison like to go with." And he was like, "Well, I think you did yourself like a hole." And I go, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "So from now on, when I do posters, I'm going to try to make you stomp and not find an exact good bow tie to go with this event." And I go, "Son of a bitch, I should have said anything or sent him anything." But now I'm willing to for that challenge, and challenge has been accepted, and I'm not giving up yet. So Jason, if you're gonna try to stomp me, just keep in mind I'm gonna keep on going. So bring it on.
That's amazing. You know, like I could say, I don't want to call it the only time because I feel like there's been a couple times that there's been some tests just to see. I feel like, especially in the Chicago area, there's a lot of podcasters, and
Yep.
trying to set yourself apart can be difficult. But I went to at the beginning of the year. I went to a Chicago style wrestling event, and Rhino was there. He was one of the marquee guys, and obviously going there, it's like, how do I get Rhino on the podcast?
Yep.
And so I go up, I talk to him, and he tells me about his promotion in Michigan, IWR, and he was like, "Look, if you're serious about me doing an interview, come out there and talk to me." And so, sure enough, the next show, he gave me a little flyer, autographed it, and said, "Look, come to the next one." We made it. I drove the 5 hours, I think, to Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I waited until the very end, and I had somebody I knew there from the Chicago area. He went and told Rhino, "Hey, this kid's here. He traveled all the way from Chicago to talk to you." And then I still waited, like it might have been like an hour and a half after the
Yep.
show, because he's got to talk to everybody and tell them how they did and whatnot. And he looks at me, he's like, "You really like." I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something along the lines of, "You really made it. You really drove all the way out here." And he was like, "We'll make it work. I don't know when we'll make it work. I'll open this line of communication. We'll make it work." And sure enough, he did. And I ended up coming to a couple more events out in Monroe. And like, it was kind of one of those, he wasn't going to tell me it was a test, but like once I arrived, he was like, "Oh shit, this kid meant he would come out here," and you could tell that like the switch hit, and he was like, "Okay, I'll take him seriously."
Yeah.
I could assume that somebody the caliber of Rhino gets asked to do interviews all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I'm sure it's one of those, I don't have time to do all of them, so how do I weed in the ones I want to do and don't want to do kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, I felt proud of myself for being able to prove to somebody, um, of the status of Rhino that I was worthy enough for him to come on the podcast, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Like a lot of guys who like been in this sport for a long time. I have only been in wrestling for 6 years,
Okay.
and just watching people like from TV, or like guys you've seen like from like other independent shows, like you realize your place, and it's always about that drive. And I would just, as much as I'd like to beat myself down, I realize some people are going to keep pushing you to push those buttons to make you feel like you earned your spot. And respect goes a long way. And like me, like I miss like, setting up rings, tearing them down, but due to personal reasons of my heart, I can't do that anymore. But I remember this past NeoPro show, me and CJ Owens, aka P-Pod, we were just helping put away the chairs, putting away the guardrails, carrying up some of the stage parts and some of the ropes. And I felt good, but I know like I can't lift the board, and like my brain is like, lift that board up, Josh, and I'm like, I can't, because if I do, my heart is just gonna go, and I don't want that. We don't want to make people worry, but just like seeing what you drove 5 hours just to make that show just really is a good mindset to have.
Just
It's
on the
motivating.
opportunity, the potential, like he could say no, but
Mhm,
just on the possibility that it could happen, I was all for it,
mhm.
100% down to try it.
Yeah, and like I remember just going to Louisville to OVW and like meeting all those people. AJ McKay was one of them, who currently works in the OVW commentary team. And now I'm not saying like my goal is just work at OVW. My goal is to try OVW, hopefully like get a spot, but also like get elsewhere as well. But I want to be like, every time I say this to CJ Owen, I always text him like, I wish I was cool like you. And he laughs about it, but he knows that I mean well. Like, hey, sometimes like some places are gonna have spots like filled, but don't beat yourself down. And that's what Ricky Shane Page said to me, because I saw him tag like CJ Owen in one of the posts, and I said, "Man, I hope I get there." And he goes, "You will, but just keep doing what you're doing." And I go, "Yeah, I should keep doing what I'm doing." And just knowing that guys are going to see what you could do and change is surreal. Like, I remember going to Mega's, not this past show, but their show they did called Converge 2, where a lot of promotions are under one roof. And I got to return at Mega, not to peel the onion too much, but like I was going against Mega, but it felt nice to be at their like playground again. And just seeing what the Mega commentators they said to me, they're like, we actually had fun doing this, like even further with you along. And I'm like, good, because you're supposed to have fun. And I gotta remind myself to have a little fun. Whether if it's, getting like a swirly by the slime balls, whether if it's, you know, getting a pocket squares taken from me and thrown at, or just, whatever. Being something funny and quirky, it drives you to a lot of things. And just to see people enjoy what you do is a big smile.
Do you I guess to lead into my next segment, it's something I'm new. I've tried on the channel. Going back to that little brother, I taught a little bit of wrestling
Mhm,
knowledge. Be yourself. We call him Nasty Nate here on the channel. Uh,
mhm.
he does our live streams and stuff, but he's always asking us. It's kind of like a Mount Rushmore question, but he always asks us our starting five. I mean, like basketball teams have their starting five lineup.
Yeah, of course.
So like I've switched it into this. If you was a coach and you had to pick five individuals to be on your team, whether it's a wrestling team, a basketball team, a war games team, whatever, who would those five individuals be that you would want to coach into victory?
Ooh, that's a great question. CJ Owen? No, I'm kidding. um, uh, Aaron Stevens is number one for me.
Okay.
Uh, Not just because what he has done for me, but it was just what he has in his like mindset for wrestling is just so unreal. And hearing him talk about it like with students at the preface, like it's shut up and listen time. So Aaron Stevens is number one. Second one, I'm gonna choose someone who, like, man, I really like think about him. Like, I really wish he could come back to wrestling, but Monty Brown would be second one for me. I love Monty
I
Brown.
love it. I love the pounce.
Yes. Period. Period. um. So Monty Brown would be second. Third one, I gotta go with. Oh man, I gotta go with Eddie Guerrero. I think Eddie would be a fun person to be as a good starting like lineup and getting like coaching him and like, hey, lie, cheat, and steal, buddy.
He's definitely
um,
gonna help you get victory for sure.
yes. Oh man, two more spots. This is tough. You know what? I think I could. If I gotta pick, I would pick. Ooh, there's so many people like I could just throw a name, but I can't. Like it's hard to like leave people out. You know what? I'm gonna throw this person just because they have been nothing but a great person to me, but I just would love to see him in it. Pastor CeeLo would be number four for me.
Ooh, I love Pastor CeeLo.
Yes.
He's amazing.
Oh, I love him. Pastor CeeLo would be there, and
Underrated.
then yes. Oh, absolutely.
Criminally underrated.
Oh, and fifth one, my final pick. Who could I pick to be in there? Ooh. Oh, this is tough. I'm drawing a blank a little bit. You know what? I would throw in a I'll throw in a female in there. I'll put Angel Metro.
Okay.
Angel Metro would be my fifth person.
I like it. Going back to Pastor CeeLo, um, I was fortunate enough I had him on the podcast, and I think the biggest thing I want to credit him for is the ability to weave in and out of character, kayfabe, blurring that line between talking about the likes of like people he's been able to help out, like Ray Larson, and then just be able to jump right back into character and talk about matches and um, just like evolving the persona, things like that. I've never seen somebody do it so effortlessly, like to blur that line.
CeeLo, he's probably if he watches this, if he messages me, folks, he's probably not gonna like what I'm going to say. But CeeLo he's legit one of my favorite people I've met in wrestling, and it's not just like I say that a lot of times to people, but like CeeLo is number one, and the reason why because when the time like there comes the time in wrestling where you get let go, things happen, doors closes, but a lot of times like CeeLo was the first person that would message me and tell me, "Hey, this is not the end of the world. I hope you know that." And I kept telling, and I tried to argue with him. I tried to, folks. I really did. I tried to tell him he's a liar because he's a guy who takes money. Come on now. But CeeLo legit was someone who tried to make me reconnect myself and realize that no, 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 this is not the end of Josh Gjonaj. Just keep going. Go to this place. Try to get to it there. Well, why are you down? Like, get up and move on. And fortunately, he's going to ask for a donation, so like, of course, I got to give it to him. But like, but no, like CeeLo, no matter what show I'm at, and if he's there, it's going to be a fun show. Any show you see him on, like if it's Exodus, if it's Mega, if it's Neo Pro, even NWA Power, I try my best to keep up tabs with him and just to see what he has done is mind boggling, and I'm so happy for that guy. And of course, I'm going to say the same thing I've said to CJ Owen. I wish I could be cool like Pastor CeeLo. Not asking for money, folks. I promise you, but just to be at that level. And but like CeeLo will tell me like you'll get there, and yeah, like I might not. I think I'm not, but I will. And it's a process. And CeeLo has faced a lot of people, and he's been making a name for himself. And the one thing, like at the last EFW show, Adrenaline, him and Sebastian LaShawn took down Butchie B and Ray Larson, and Pastor CeeLo was in that corner just wanted the flying hip attack from Ray Larson, and I just remember saying that Pastor CeeLo wanted cake. And a lot of people laugh at that call. And then there comes Butchie B with a cannonball, and I go, well, I guess the Butchie B stands for buns. And it was just my quirky self, and it was one of I try not to laugh at commentary. Looking at the monitor just to see how excited CeeLo was for Ray Larson to give him a hip attack. I was like, I can't laugh. I have to commentate. All that SOBs make me laugh, but I gotta keep it going. Keep it going. Don't laugh. But I just see my broadcast partner Norm taking out the headset and laughing. And I'm like, God damn it, no, I'm alone in this.
You know, while we're on the topic of CeeLo, just to put him over even more, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out, for one, the interview, make sure to check it out. For two, if you haven't watched the man, whether it's on NWA Power, Exodus, Mega, uh, go check him out, because the stuff he's doing with, I mean, on Power alongside EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth is absolutely incredible. And then just as a standalone, CeeLo, like sometimes being with EC3 and Smooth is going to elevate, but sometimes there's a shadow there.
Mhm.
But being able to see him alone is so, like, if you haven't seen Pastor CeeLo by himself doing his thing, make sure to go check that out, because it's some of the most entertaining stuff you'll ever see, especially in the world of wrestling. Um, and I guess just to throw it out there, somebody else that really like shocked me when I met them, especially in person, was Pretty Boy Smooth. Like,
Mhm.
I had him on for an interview before I ever went to Exodus, and it was a great interview. But the connection, I don't know if it was necessarily made then. Like, we had the conversation, it went well. It was that, and then with the sponsorship with Exodus came interview opportunities. Um, and Smooth was one of the first ones I had, and it was the night he took on Calvin Tankman. Phenomenal match, and like being able to sit down with him and like work out, like, because he wanted to do the interview a little bit differently, and I'd never done in-person interviews until that
Yeah.
day, so it was interesting, and like just being able to work with somebody like that on a level, a personal level, and just being able to figure out what works for each other was really fun. And to
Yeah.
have somebody like Smooth who can be um, the dominant force in this world of wrestling, and for him to break down to my level and say, "Let's make this work and have fun with it," was
Mhm.
fun. And I don't know if a lot of people have had that opportunity, but he's somebody else that guaranteed, push come to shove, he's gonna make it somewhere,
Yeah.
and he needs highlighted as well.
PB, Pretty Boy Smooth, PB. Um, Legit, like, the first guy to hold that Midwest champion for Exodus. Being first in line says a lot of things, but the guy of that size to be first, you won't believe the way he moves.
No.
And like another like people like that size that moves so like jaw dropping is the main event TME.
Mhm.
They they were someone who I had the pleasure to met like during my days in Mega, and I was like, man, I would love to see TME pop up at Neo Pro. Now I'm not saying anything, Danny or Jason, but like, hear me out though. If we need tag team, that's the tag team like that you need to focus on.
Definitely.
And they could do a lot of single stuff too, which is so real to like know because sometimes like you could see like sometimes tag teams like you're shocked to see they can handle themselves singly. And TME is one of them. The Philly Marino experience is another one. A lot of teams that you see is just so awesome, and I love tag team wrestling. Like I got a lot of different tag team partners, whether if it's in Neo Pro, CIW, just to name those few places. But like, it's fun to sit there and see what everyone is doing. Like one person in particular that outside of those like people we just mentioned, Ray Larson. Ray Larson got to debut in Extreme Fight World, and I was happy that she got the opportunity. And now, like, what's next going to be for Ray Larson? Because Ray Larson does have like a victory going on at EFW, so I'm hoping more things are being opened for her. Whether if it's a champion or not, you never know. Who knows with EFW? Never say never.
Ray is somebody that I found so interesting. For one, I met her at, well, I didn't meet her. I saw her first at AAW here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Um, and I assumed she was a Chicago indie like wrestler. And after reaching out and talking to her, Michigan is her neck of the woods, and then like getting her on, having the interview, and learning her story. How it's not the most conventional story to get in, but she is doing a damn good job at making the most of her opportunities. And me and CJ talked about it. Just the amount of opportunities she's gonna have just because she's good at this
Mhm.
is it's only a matter of time. That clock is ticking, and
Yes.
it's just it'll the buzzer will ring anytime, and we'll see her on TV, guaranteed.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like Ray is someone who I am like very happy to call a friend. And traveling with her, it's the funnest car rides at times because I just do stupid voices because hey, I could be funny at times, people, in case you didn't know. Not gonna do it like it's hard to be fun like hard to be funny at times, but I just think of stuff like that on the spot. And just to make Ray Larson laugh about like these stupid impressions I do, it's a very nice car ride to deal with. And like, if you follow me, um, Pastor CeeLo, CJ Owen, and Ray Larson, just to name those people, like, we do a thing called dues paid. And a lot of times people are going to wonder what dues paid is. Dues paid is not a workout movement at all. It's something where you felt like you done something good for yourself. Whether if it's, hey, I went to the gym, I paid my dues. Hey, I finally put laundry, I paid my dues. Hey, I did this and this and this. As long as you did something and you felt like you're comfortable with, that's what dues paid is all about. And it's so nice to know like we get to share that like progress with people and not just be talking down on or like, oh, you're just doing that for like for a workout movement. It's not. It's just we are just here to motivate ourselves and motivate our friends that we're doing something.
Love it. Josh, I just want to, for one, say you beat CJ. We're over the time. You beat
Yes.
CJ. Uh, so, which leads me into my last question. Um, I like with wrestlers, they always have goals of like, hey, I want to be in this promotion, or I want this championship, or maybe I want a championship, or maybe I want to get in a better physique, things like that. For you as a commentator, what goals would you say you have set for yourself going, coming out of 2025 and leading into 2026?
My goal is just to keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
Like I want to work everywhere and anywhere I'm at. Like I want to travel the world and go to countries, and I want to hear like more stories like what you just shared with me about like your younger brother. Like I want that to be more fire in my gas tank, or more gas in my gas tank, not fire. Oh God, no.
Not fire. Don't blow me up.
Yeah. But like, just I want to hear those stories, and like another thing I want to do is, of course, to get in like the best shape, but also to feel like I belong. And whether if it's to wear a headset, if it's at, like a OVW, like if it's TNA, if it's AEW, WWE, NWA, just throw those like names out there. I'm willing to keep going, and like hopefully one day to get that email or to get that phone call to be like, wow, I'm doing this. And like, yeah, I'm still working at my, 9 to 5 job, but I'm hoping one day I could just put those 2 weeks in and get on a plane and go to a different state or a country and just be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. And like, of course, I'm gonna get another suit or 2 or 3, maybe. Who knows? I'm at 7 right now, but I want people to know that if they ever have like any questions for me, just reach out to me. I'm always down for a response. If it's a wrestling question, like if you want to do this, like yeah, do it. If you want to be a wrestler, you can do it. If you want to be a commentator, hey, I got myself in that foot in the door thanks to EFW for letting me train there. And then, but if you want to be a referee, a manager, anything, if you put your mind to it, you just keep going.
Okay, Josh, thank you so much. This was one of my favorite conversations I've had of late. I just want to throw that out there. If you ever want to come up for part two, I doors absolutely open. I can't wait to
Oh,
do another one.
oh, I will absolutely be honored to be back here.
Sounds good, man. Before I let you go, just in case for some reason they wasn't paying attention at the beginning, you know how people are scrolling through comments, checking out Instagram, things like that. Would you like to shout out them social medias one more time, just in case
Yes,
they wasn't listening?
yeah, absolutely. Josh Gjonaj. Last name is Gjonaj. You will see me in a bow tie, of course. Um, Follow me. Like, if you like motivation, like silly pay dues photos, or having CJ Owen telling me I'm number one at times, to follow me on those social media platforms, because you do not want to miss what I'm going to be posting, because I want to keep going, and I hope to have more people realize that, hey, this kid has something going on, and I hope he gets to those platforms.
Absolutely. Josh, I just want to say, before I let you go, you absolutely have a place in this sport. I think we all do. That's why we're here. And I think um, the thing I've got out of this conversation the most is to show appreciation for those that are here and around us, because it's important.
Yeah.
More above all else, like to just show each other we care, especially when everything in this world is so crazy and outlandish. In wrestling, there's no place for the outside conflict, if that makes sense. We just need to be here to love what goes on in and around that ring and to have fun doing it. And you are the perfect representation of that. And I just want to say thank you, and I can't wait to see what this next interview looks like. So I'll leave it at see you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.